Hello and welcome to From the Depths. My name is Karma. Now I will upload this video as something a bit of a promise. Is of course there's a new patch out, or at least it will be out when I've uploaded this video. Is that there is a new detection system coming that has come out in From the Depths. New range detections. Now you might be wondering, oh, what is this new detection you talked about? Well, or you're in a situation of, come on, hurry up. My ship's completely acting weird. Help me fix this. Now, let me show you exactly what I mean by ship acting weird. I'm gonna quickly spawn in a marauder, and of course also switch off its AI quickly, so it doesn't attack us. I'm not really interested in attacking us. Do you see that? Our cannon fired to that direction. Our enemy is there, but our cannon fired there. Bit of a problem, you'd think, don't you? Why is this happening? Well, that's the result of the new detection system. Because all this time we've been sort of just putting our cannons together and just letting it fire. But now a ship, a cannon, all kinds of weapons, they need eyes so they can see their target and know exactly where it is. Of course, as you can see here, your ship will naturally by itself have a bit of chance to slightly detect where a target is and what it's doing, but for the most part it's hopeless. I mean, I could sit here watching for hours to try and fix this, but it's not going to hit the target. Now, what we can do to fix this, and a real quick fix that you can do if you're in a bit of a rush, is what you can do is you can quickly go make a little mast with two wood beams. Make sure the top of it is clear, it's got a clear line of sight around. And what you could do there then is quickly build a mainframe on top of that mast. Now I want you to look carefully at how this is swinging around madly, unable to see its target. Now I'm going to come here to under the AI section. I found our mainframe. I'm going to come here to a new section called Detection Equipment. Now, don't worry, there's a lot of things here. I will cover them quickly moment, but the main thing you need to look for is one that says IR camera 360. Find that one, click on it, select it, get a designed big piece that you stick right on top of that mainframe. Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to come here and find another thing called IR camera Gimbal Tracker. Should be just below, 2 steps down from the camera, and we're going to go ahead and stick 2 of these on. Now, see what's happened. When we put those on, we've gone and shot and got an AI dead. Our target is dead on. Simple as that. Quick and easy fix. No worries at all. So, what exactly is this? Well, let's get into that then, shall we? Right, now we've got the situation now where we need to actually apply eyes and ears to our ship to be able to detect our enemies. Now I've gone ahead and put this little mainframe here. Don't worry, you don't have to keep the equipment on the same AI as the weapons. You can have one AI specifically just for detection equipment, and it will work reasonably fine. Now, first thing you notice, if I now come here and actually look at the window here, you will notice here a little pop-up tag here appears here that says you need detection equipment or your AI will be blind. Nice help from the developers. to sort of show you what's missing here. And also, I think very important, checklist here. And it basically tells you all the things you need to know about your ship, what things are missing, like vehicles, engines. This ship of mine actually needs a chair. I don't have a chair. AI essentials. Ensure that the AI can detect forwards, left, right, back, and downwards. Big problems there, isn't it? Now, so, detection equipment. What are we actually looking here? There's several things here that we have different sections here. Now, what exactly is the thing? Now, the main thing we need to look at here is these 8 pieces right here. Now, what these is radar, sonar, infrared, and direct line of sight. This is the different types of ways you can detect things. Now, these have different ones have different advantages and different disadvantages. Now, radar, you can go ahead and look at each of the individual ones, and in the list it will tell you exactly what kind of error problems they have. So, for example, if I look at radar here, the range error, and I go through the angular error in the bearings to the target is 2 degrees, which means it will be confused as like, okay, it's about there, or 2 degrees to the left, or 2 degrees to the right. Gets a bit confused, can't really tell exactly. But if I look at the infrared camera, the angular error in the bearing to the target is 0.8 degrees. So it will say it's okay, it's over there, or 0.8 degrees to the left, or 0.8 degrees to the right. So just by that information alone, I can say infrared camera would be a bit more better to detect where things are. And as again, detecting things. If I look at this again, range error is 0.4, so it will say it's at 300 meters, and it's 0.4% chance of being wrong. And range error on the infrared camera is 12.5%. Ooh, bit nasty. So, the case of if I put an infrared camera, I will know exactly what direction it is. But a radar is going to be able to detect exactly how far it is a lot easier than my infrared camera. And that's a balancing issue. You're going to have to figure out exactly which parts do you want to use more ideally. But for me, the one that I enjoy most is the infrared camera. Now, why exactly is that? Well, if I come here now and actually talk about some of the... Because you see, the infrared camera tracks things by their heat signature. Which means it's going to detect things day or night. It will be able to detect things now. Also, I have a thing called camera. Normal, simple visual camera. Now, it works similar like infrared camera. It detects things, but it detects things by the actual sight. Which means if it's night, it can't see anything. Bit of a problem. Bit of a weakness of the camera 360. Now, the infrared camera 360 can see during night. Now, radar doesn't matter day or night or how things are. But of course, radar has its issues itself. Another method of seeing our targets is, of course, sonar, which basically detects things through sonar. If you don't know what sonar is, well, it's basically a little underwater ping designed to detect if things are there underwater. Now, important thing to note, if I actually put my sonar device here on top, notice it gives a little message, cannot function above water, which is an important thing to note. Sonar doesn't function above water. I can put my infrared camera here, and yes, it will be able to detect things, but underwater, to detect things underwater, I will need sonar, because it will function underwater. So, that's different ways to know. Now, what exactly is this camera? 99. IR camera, sonar, and radar. They basically work the equivalent to the to the 360 variants. There's basically the use for this is in sort of a situation where I now have an infrared camera here on top, but I suddenly decide I want to put it's no, I don't want infrared cam. I want to now put a normal camera here as well. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and deploy my connections here. For placing such things, and I'll go camera and I'll put a camera. Because it solves the situation I want double the amount of detection equipment. You'll now notice here that when I hover over this thing, there's a big message with some red words here. Line of sight backwards out of the vehicle's blocks so detection in that direction is disabled. Yes, indeed. The IR camera is blocking the way for this thing to see. Yeah, if I actually build obstructions, these things can't see in a direction. If I, for example, build some wooden blocks here, you'll notice the IR camera now says line of sight backwards out of the vehicle's blocked. If I remove those blocks, the message is gone. And that is exactly why we have the 90 increment, because they're basically equivalent to the to do the same job as any of these other detection equipment, but they're doing it only at a 90-degree angle, and for a much cheaper price. For example, the camera 360 is material cost 40. Camera 90-degree is 20 resources. So if I just put one here, what I basically have here is a 360 camera, which means it can look down this direction and detect things. Well, I can't see backwards, but I've got now one little camera that's looking backwards, covering the blind spot of that camera at the front. Nice and easy. And of course, the infrared camera, because it sticks away above everything else, it's sticking above everything else. Now comes a bit of a problem. We now can see the target, but we can't exactly tell what good bearing it is. With my two detection equipments, my cannon is still wavering a lot and unsure of exactly where it's trying to strike the target. That's where these next thing comes all, these Gimbal Trackers. Now what these are, basically, it's they function in the same boat as the Rangefinders over here. And what they basically do is they are functions for us to detect precisely where the target is, how fast it's going, and what angle it is. The more, the better. Now, of course, these have different advantages and disadvantages to the other things, but overall, they are a lot better at finding out where the target is and how far it is compared to the normal detection equipment. It's of course important to note that you do need a detection equipment first to see something. So now I'm going to go ahead and go with the IR camera tracker here. I'm going to put one there, one here. And this is now allows us to get more detailed information about what we're trying to shoot at. Now, a bit of a problem now starts to exist here. You might notice this from a message that I've not been mentioning for a while. This mainframe does not have enough processing power, so detection rate is reduced to 26.6 repeated %. Yes, these things actually take a set amount of processing power. And if we are outside of the processing hour, we start getting errors in our detection range and effectiveness. So our weapon is, even though we have the detection equipment here, it's still wavering and unsure about what it's trying to shoot at. So what we need to do, go ahead and build some connectors to my AI. And then I'm going to come here to the AI section and go and find a thing called General Purpose Processing Card. Now this basically adds processing power to process things, because if I look at the AI mainframe, you'll see in this description is an AI mainframe, unnamed mainframe. This mainframe has access to 2 units of general purpose processing power. It has basically, we'll say 2 megabytes processing strength. And it has 5 detectors. Now, of which 2 of those things are trackers. Now, trackers need 7.5 megabyte power in total, which means we don't have enough power to do these things, so we're still lagging. So now if I go ahead and put one of these cards, it says not connected mainframe has access to 3 megabytes, and I can go ahead and start adding these. Now we have 4, now we have 5, now we have 6, and now we have 7. But we need 7.5, so we'll add 1 more. And now we can see here, now it says, well, we have a power of 100%. Wonderful. We now have full detection capability, and of course that ship has been destroyed because of the repeated shots. Excellent. Now, bit of a problem. Now we can go ahead and now extend our. These will be able to camera gimbal tracker, IR camera gimbal tracker, and radar gimbal tracker. Now it's going to find out exactly range and how fast it's going and what exactly the thing is. Similarly, the laser rangefinder tracker functions the same as this. There's unfortunately no laser detector here. So, but what we can find here is we can find rangefinders. Now, though any of you who have seen a real battleship, you might recognize this. If I quickly now place one of these down, these function quite similar to the trackers, but this is dedicated for finding out the range towards target in a 90-degree angle. Little thing here. Now these usually work in real life. They work at convergence. So these, of course, takes up processing power. So you can see mainframe does not have enough power again. So I need to add more processing cards. Now, it's important to note that these little blocks here come in different sizes. So for example, I can get here a 9-meter wide, which is a bit more accurate, but a bit of a very bigger target. Do note, if I actually obstruct this thing, see this clear line of sight on the vehicle, it has little holes on the side, so we can cover up the front of it and hide the front of it to ensure that it doesn't get hit. Now, for the moment, I'm going to leave this open, and I'm going to go ahead and get the shorter one. Now, of course, this only detects in one direction, so I'm going to go ahead and place these all around so that my ship can get the range of anything that's around it. So, what do we have in this kind of situation? We have infrared camera. It's going to see something. Then it's going to tell trackers that something is there, and then the trackers are going to be able to track it, as well as the rangefinders. Brilliant. So if we allow us to get as accurate information as possible on our target as we can. But now the question is, this is a bit of a large target. Now, if I actually summon in this Marauder again, I'll turn off its AI. If I now look at the cannon now, you'll see it's firing a lot more accurate to the target, but there's still a bit of a problem. It's slightly off. And that's because these camera detection equipment needs to be configured. If I actually go and go ahead and press Q on one of these, you get a long list, very confusing screen. But don't worry, most of this you don't need to know. All you need to know is do the little equipment that says detection equipment, unnamed mainframe, auto adjust. Detection equipment, auto adjust. You press that button that says auto adjust, and you go to the thing here that says unnamed mainframe, and you say auto adjust. And you'll notice now our cannon. Oh, excuse me about the noise, but you can see now that our cannon is dead on target. There is absolutely no worries about hitting that ship. Though, of course, it's wavering a little bit due to uncertainty, but for mostly we can see it now. Interesting to do note is if I actually look at one of these trackers, you can see that it says here at the end of it, tracking marauder with detection chance of 100%. That basically means it can see and track the target effectively, as well as the detector. And this IR camera can't see it, but my visual camera can see it, although of course it can't anymore because the target is dead. Wonderful. That's the basics to get yourself a very good, very accurate system. Now, of course, this is quite a bulky system, so what you might want to do is put this all underneath, because what you can do is you can simply... A nice idea would be to quickly come to your ship, get yourself a wireless receiver, block like that, and then go ahead and put your detection equipment down like that. And then you have your detection equipment. Though, just note, whenever you do place or remove detection equipment, press Q on everything, go to detection equipment, press auto adjust, unnamed mainframe, auto adjust. And if you ever do see some problems, hit those auto adjust buttons to make sure things work a bit again. Now, you might be wondering, can I put all of this on a rotating block? First thing I can tell you now immediately is if you're putting detection equipment on a spin block, bad idea. However, because it reduces detection time. But if we come to our turret here, and I actually go now, put myself connectors here, and I put my wireless receiver on that. And I can now actually go and put myself trackers and such on my turret. Put a tracker and a detector, and for the hell of it, I'm going to also put Rangefinder. So I've now got a rangefinder and turret here. So if my turret actually turns to face something, now it can actually, my detection equipment will be facing that direction as well, ensuring that no matter where the target is, some of my tracking equipment is pointing towards it. And in this sort of situation, I can go ahead and remove my rangefinders. And only keep my detection equipment here. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that the transmitter is connected to this. And then afterwards I'm going to go to my mainframe, say auto adjust, and now I'm going to go ahead and spawn in Marauder. Now, you may expect that might not be able to see anything, but it is now pinpoint accurate, because what it's now done, if I look at the rangefinder, it's tracking Marauder with detection chance, great, wonderful, everything's dead on. Because all I need to have is this IR camera to identify where it is. The turret will swing around to face the target, and then all my tracking equipment is pointing towards the target, dead on and ready to fire. Wonderful way to actually do things, ensure things just stay on target. So in this situation, if my sort of control tower is knocked out, I still have my detection equipment already pointing to the target and tracking them. Of course, This is a bit of a silly target. It's not easily knocked out, and probably best to put it inside the ship. So, that's the basics you'll need to know. Now, I do think I hear people wondering, okay, so what happens if I am in the sky, or what if I'm underwater? Because, as I sort of mentioned before, a sonar doesn't work if it's above water, and similarly, a camera doesn't work if it's underwater. If I look at here, there's whole visual camera, it says can't function below water. What do you do if I'm an air? If I have an airship, I can't see anything underwater. That's where things get interesting. Be back in a moment. Welcome back. Now, as you might notice, we are on an aircraft, hot air balloon, and we've got a missile system with some torpedoes. And it's firing those torpedoes away, but they are laser tracked and we can't see our target. So if I now actually dive down here to watch what's happening here, you'll see that our missiles go wildly off on a wild goose chase, trying to hit this target we have here, but nothing can hit it. Ooh, that one came close. But no, not really. So, bit of a problem, but how do we accurately detect something if we cannot properly detect it? Because we can put a... If we put a sonar up here, it doesn't see anything, because we are too high up. We're out of water, and that's why we come to special detection equipment known under detection equipment called Missile Sonar Buoy Holder. Now, if I go and stick this on my mainframe, we now have this buoy ready to deploy. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to come to a missile launcher. That's the first thing you need to deploy that on that. And we come to a missile launcher. And we find here on the missile designs, we find a thing called Sonar Buoy Body. Now what is how it will happen if I actually fire this weapon? What's happened is now we've dropped the sonar buoy. If we actually come here now to this thing, we see now the buoy is missing. I'm going to quickly go press auto adjust on all these things so that we can see what the hell's going on. And you'll notice, look at our laser beam. It's no longer swinging around madly as it was before. In fact, I think it's very soon going to hit a target. We just got a damage. Yes, indeed. We actually have targeting on it. Very weak targeting, but nevertheless it's better than nothing. This is how an aircraft is going to be able to detect a submarine and track it, because what we will be able to do and see the thing is popped back, so it means our radar sonar buoy has disappeared. So we just need to quickly drop this again. You will probably need to assign a automated control block to automatically deploy your sonar buoys at tactical places so that the torpedoes can hit the target. But nevertheless, it's easy as that, really, for an aircraft to be hitting a submarine. And the reverse system, reverse situation I will show in a moment. Hello! Welcome back to our rather unstable situation. So, we're at the bottom of the ocean. There's an air target above us. We can't hit it. We've got our nice long missile for taking out air targets, but we just can't detect it because our equipment is, we are underwater. And sadly, sonar does not... Sonar can't detect things that are above water. Sad day indeed. So, what can we do about this? Now, that's where the missile sonar, missile radar buoy comes in hand. Now, you pay for previously we did the sonar buoy to detect things underwater now. Oh, do excuse me, I seem to be having a couple of troubles. Oh, for the love of God. Alright. Do excuse me, this little menu here seems to be getting in the way, so just click on them to close those menus with the checklist. So, missile radar biosystem. So, go ahead, place one of these on the ship, make sure we select it, press auto adjust. Now, we still can't see the target, but we now have a missile buoy. Now, what this will do is it will float to the surface and detect things. Now, to hurry this process up, I've gone and put on a load of torpedoes. Make sure it flies up with speed. Now, while this is above water, or just simply floating through water, you'll see there immediately our laser starts getting detection on the target. I've added way too much fuel to this. Do excuse me. It's bouncing away. Oopsie. Oh boy! Come on! Come on! Come on! I'll just put two fins on it so it doesn't float away. So now we're going to launch this torpedo. The sonar again. It's going to come up to the surface, where it will start detecting the thing. Now you see that the radar is now immediately jumping towards it. If we're down here, it's no longer waving around crazy, it's actually detecting things. And if I look at the actual thing, currently tracking one target. Yes, indeed. Just hit auto adjust on that, just to make sure that it gets everything right. And that's how easy it is for us to get detection of a target that is above water. Though admittedly, it has a few drawbacks. It's got some inaccuracy in detecting, because I see it's detecting now. Tracking vehicle target detection shares of 19. And we've hit our target. The small damage indicator in the top right of the screen tells me that we've managed to hit the target, which means our buoy has worked. And now the buoy has returned, and it means we need to launch it again. Quite simple system. Very effective if you are a submarine driver and need a sight above water to detect aircraft. And a simple control block should be able to get you the missile buoy to fire, radar buoy to fire automatically. And really, there's nothing if you are a normal ship there's nothing stopping you from using these buoys for sonar and radar itself. Now, while you're at the bottom of the sea, there's really only one thing left for us to talk about here at the of all these equipment. Now, there is something called a passive sonar and a passive radar. Now, what these basically do is they detect other radar systems. Now, unfortunately, I'm incapable of showing a good example of this. A bit of struggling with getting it to work to get a good example of it. But nevertheless, it will also detect when radar sees it. Very useful in counter war, because your equipment might not be able to see the enemy effectively, while their equipment does. So you can work off of their detection to find out where they are. Now, also there is a last thing. This thing called wireless snooper. What this does, it detects a special equipment that's called an Intra vehicle transmitter. It looks very similar to the wireless receiver, but what this Intra vehicle transmitter does, it basically goes ahead and tells other ships what the current ship can see. In my experience, it's not been very useful at telling. Sure, it allows the quick detection of things, but it doesn't allow for accurate tracking of things. It's useful to have handy in case one of your ships have some of their detection equipment blown off. And wireless snooper is basically the device that detects this communication. So, in reality, it would be a bad idea to use the intra-vehicle transmitter, because enemy with a wireless snooper is going to know your exact location like that. Because it's going to be able to tell off the communications you're doing between your ships. And that's about it. I've gone through the cameras, rangefinders, sonar, buoys. Now, my personal recommendation would be, I'd go for a mixture of infrared cameras and radar dishes, with infrared gimbal trackers and radar trackers. Now, and also placing on one of your gun turrets some rangefinders. Yes, it's going to be quite excessive, but that's, if you want accuracy, you're going to want that. Otherwise, you're going to have to rely on heat-seeking missiles, things like that. And of course, if submarine, missile buoys, wonderful. If your aircraft offer sonar buoys. Now, I'm going to definitely enjoy this, working with the system. It's going to be really entertaining to see to get to work with this. Now, my name's Vincent Karma. Hope you have a good one. Have fun out there. Remember, do your detection equipment.